Good morning. Happy Thursday. Oh my God. I got the best sleep of my life last night. Sometimes when you're just that exhausted and you finally get the sleep you need, like I feel like a new person today. Like I am so excited for the day. I'm ready to get going. I want to get everything done. Like I'm super motivated today. I needed that sleep so bad. I don't know why I was so tired, but just thankful that I'm not anymore. So, yeah, I have big plans for today. I want to get my prints ordered for the upcoming collection for 11/27. Just part of the prints, let's be real. I'm not going to have all of them done because it's just not who I am. I do things last minute. So anyway, want to get some of the prints ordered. So I'm going to be working on that all morning. I have a couple of client meetings this afternoon, starting at like 11 to, I don't know, 1:30. And then hopefully I can jump right back into 11/27. So, I have a lot going on there that I need to get done like as soon as possible. I just have to finish. I think my biggest thing, just to let you know how my process goes, I'm not normal in terms of the way that I do things for the collection. And thank you, ADHD. I think it has a lot to do with that. Like I have a hard time, normally in fashion, it's like you do your mood board and then you start to sketch out ideas and you have all of your ideas and then you pick which ones you really like and then you move forward with those and you build a collection. That's not how I do it. I don't know why, but sometimes it's like one thing that I design ends up changing everything. So I'm kind of all over the place. I do pull a mood board together. But for this situation, in my past collections, when I've had the photo shoot, well, just in general, I feel like I've kind of settled for the designs, probably because I waited until last minute to do them. But I've kind of settled for the designs. I haven't felt really good about most of them. There's definitely some that I'm like, yes, I love this. But there's quite a few in there that I haven't felt like are quite what I would have wanted. And I've been feeling like I haven't fully figured out what I want this brand to represent, what I want it to look like. So I'm putting a lot more pressure on myself this time, I think, because I'm just ready for all of the things that I have going on in my head, which are not complete thoughts, by the way. It's not like I have something in my head that I'm just not doing. It's like bits and pieces of things and things that I've picked up and things that have motivated me. And, this year I went to Africa for the first time ever. And it was actually really cool. This is so off the wall now. I'm just all over the place, but it was actually really cool because what happened was when I went home to Florida for Thanksgiving, I was talking to my dad and, my dad, both my parents are getting, a little bit older, not super old. They were actually young parents. They were in their 20s when they had me, but, they're in their 60s, and my dad has been making a point to just tell me about parts of his life that I probably haven't known yet. My dad is one of my best friends, so it's so funny to know that there's like a lot of things that I don't know, but, he's been telling me a lot of parts of his life that I haven't known about and sharing some stories about our family and things like that. All of my grandparents have passed. I don't have any grandparents that are living anymore. So, all of these stories could potentially die out. So he's been telling me a lot of these things and he had said to me, my parents aren't together, anymore. So not since I was like 12. But he said, you really need to talk to your mom too and ask her questions about her past and her family. And she has a lot of history, a lot of crazy things that happened in her family. And, so when he said that, I was like, he's definitely right. And I had remembered that a couple of years ago, my mom told me she took one of the DNA tests, and my mom has a crazy history in her background. Like she didn't know who her dad was for a long, like she thought her great grandparents were her parents. I mean, it's like a whole thing, but But I was like, yeah, that's actually really legitimate. I'm going to ask her to see that DNA test that she did so that I can see what her background is. My mom is part Native American and Black. And so I was like, I really want to see what the Black side is. What is, where are we from in Africa and things like that. So anyway, over Thanksgiving, I went through all of her stuff. It was actually amazing to like see how much of the families, it's basically all from the Nigeria area, and then we also have a lot of European in her side. There was like Denmark, all like Western European, and then like the Nigeria area, but multiple countries in Africa, not just Nigeria, but all in that same area. Anyway, so I already had a trip planned to Nigeria for January, and that's a whole nother story. I wonder if I should tell that now. Yeah, I'll just tell you now. Why not? I was dating someone last year from February until November, and on our first date, I was asking him, what are things that you, like, what are your goals? Like, what are your biggest goals? What are, things you want to achieve in your life, blah, blah, blah. And one of them was that he really wanted to go to a Nigerian wedding. Not necessarily in Nigeria, but just in general, he wanted to go to a Nigerian wedding. And he was saying like all of his friends that are Nigerian were already married, so he didn't think he was going to get to go to one, but that was always something that he wanted to do. And then like literally maybe 2 months into us dating, he got invited to a Nigerian wedding in Nigeria. And he's like, but it's one of my fraternity brothers, but like I don't know him that well, so I don't know if I should go. And I'm like, you have to go. It's literally one of the things you told me you wanted to accomplish in your life. Like you wanted, like it was one of your goals. You have to go. And he's like, I don't know, like going to all the way to Africa and da da da. I'm like, you have to. So sorry, you don't have a choice. And so he's like, well, do you want to go? And so even at that time, I was like, wow, that's like 2, maybe 3 months into our relationship. And he was already planning a trip for January, which was exciting for the time period, of course. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So anyway, planned that out, whatever. And then he broke up with me in November. So, and one of the questions I had literally during our breakup was, well, what about Nigeria? So anyway, we decided to still go, strictly as friends. There was no mixing of anything. It was all friends, which, to be honest, at the end of our relationship, I feel like we were more friends than anything else anyway. So it wasn't like, it actually wasn't weird at all, which was kind of crazy because we didn't really talk to each other that much, except for like stuff having to do with Nigeria, getting visas and all that stuff, from the time that he broke up with me until January when we went on the trip. We didn't really speak that much, but anyway, so visited Nigeria this year, and I found that to be extremely inspiring, especially knowing that my heritage goes back to Nigeria. And so there were a lot of things there that, bringing this back to the collection, that really inspired me for the collection and just the experience. And, the last couple of years, especially since I've quit my job, I've really focused on traveling, even though I have to pull back because financially it's not a good idea to do as many trips as I've been doing. But all of my travels are super inspiring to me, like seeing different cultures, different countries, and how people do things differently and how they dress differently, and their backgrounds and where things could have come from. I just find to be so inspiring, and I'm just always in awe of the beauty of this world, basically. So that's why I always call myself chaotically inspired. So anyway, I've been feeling like my collections haven't fully represented myself, and I want to make a statement. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. I want, somebody once said this, I can't remember who it is, but it's definitely someone that's big in the fashion industry. And they said, when it comes to fashion, whether you love it or you hate it, you want people to feel something. And that's exactly how I feel. Like, you don't have to love what I'm doing, but I do want it to inspire thought, inspire you to feel something. And so even with the photo shoots, I felt like they've been beautiful. I've loved the photo shoots that I've done so far, and I think that they've been very necessary for me to get where I am now and where I'm going. But I don't feel like they've been more a representation of the emotion that I want to be felt with my collections. So all of that being said, I don't work normally. I will put a mood board together, and then I'll put another mood board together, and then I'll maybe do some sketching, or I'll do, I'll find like one thing that inspired me and I'll do a bunch of research on that, and then I have like a whole nother mood board. So I go a little bit crazy with the mood. And it is constantly evolving for me. It's not like I can make a mood board at the beginning and then that's going to be it for the entire collection. Like it's just not how my brain works. So my process is very different, especially working by myself on this collection. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I'm very much used to working in teams, when it comes to anything fashion related, and having opinions and having people around me whose opinions I trust, and also like trust for certain things. When I was working at DG2, there were certain people that I knew that I was going to go to have certain conversations depending on what the subject matter was going to be. So, it's hard to do it on your own, and when you have doubts, to not have anybody to bounce it off of. And I have my team. I have Lisa and Amber, but I also think that we all have very different tastes and styles, and it's hard for me to do that. And also my OCD, it makes me want to present things complete. So I don't like to necessarily share the process of the designs. I just want to have a complete product to show people. I don't know why I do that, but one of my many flaws. So all of that being said, I'm putting a lot more pressure on myself for this collection. I really want it to emote something. I want it to feel different. I want people to feel something. So when I had put together my mood boards this time, I actually started with the photo shoot mood board, because I was talking to Lisa and Amber about this photo shoot and telling them, I want this to feel completely different. Like, I want all of the photos to feel very connected. I want them to feel like supportive. That's what I want the vibe to be, a supportive vibe. Something that's a little bit emotional when you see it. Amber didn't understand what I was saying at all. I was like looking at her face and she was just like, how do you do that in a picture? So I had spent some time making a mood board of the types of images. That's the mood board I showed you guys in yesterday's morning video. And so in all of those, it's a lot of like, people feeling like touching, being connected, leaning on each other. There's one image that I'm obsessed with, and it's like a guy holding an umbrella and the woman is facing him and he's like holding the umbrella for her. And there's just something about that image that I'm obsessed with. Like, I stare at it constantly throughout the day. But, with 1127's message being that, this brand was built to help support charities or charitable causes, I really want the images to evoke that in people. So, I've been kind of going back and forth, and now I'm at the point where what I'm trying to do is pull all of the design images, and this kind of goes back to how I first started in fashion. My very first fashion job was amazing. Like, my first couple of months were the best. It was like I was living the dream that we all would have hoped in fashion school. It didn't last very long, because then responsibility comes in and everything changes. But when I first started working in fashion, my boss, who I came to hate later, would go shopping in Paris, and he would come back with, suitcases of samples. And I would just sit there and sketch all day. I would take one item and I would make like 5 to 6 sketches based off of whatever I saw in that item. And that's all I would do all day, was just sketch new ideas and try to come up with some ideas. And then we would review them. He would pick the ones that he liked. And then we had a pattern maker and a seamstress in-house. They would make the samples right there. It was the most incredible thing to just literally sketch the idea and watch it come to life, like in front of my eyes. It was wild. Anyway, so with that, what I'm going to be doing next is pulling the images that really inspired me for actual designs and figuring out what it is that I liked about it, and then sketching some ideas to figure out which ones that I like. So I need to do a lot of that as far as actual designs of t-shirts and print techniques, like the dyeing techniques, I should say. For the graphics, I also need to do that, but right now the ones that I want to print out right away are the ones I already know that I want. I have like a crest that I already created. I have a few things that are just like some wording that I'm going to finish up today. Just a couple of things that I already know I want and are going to be maybe more of like the signature pieces that don't necessarily represent a charity, but are definitely going to be in the collection. So those are the things that I want to get printed out today so that I can at least have that dusted, done. Maybe tomorrow, who knows, because I could pick it up today. So unless I order it from the one that will deliver tomorrow. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with that. And then I'm going to hopefully tonight zhuzh my mood boards that I've kind of started. I want to make sure I have complete mood board inspiration for each collection to be able to show the girls on Tuesday. I have to present everything to Lisa and Amber on Tuesday. I told them it might not be 100% done, but I'll at least have the idea of every single thing that I'm doing so that we can get prepared for the photo shoot, which is the following Wednesday. I don't know why I waited until the last minute. I've literally had months to work on this. Okay, so that is my plan for today. Went a little bit off the rails on what my inspiration is and where all of my processes come in. But yeah, so that's some insight into that. So that is what I have planned for today. I still also have a couple of things I need to do for clients, but I'll make time for that right after I order this first order of GTFs for this collection. And then I'll do a little client work, have my client meetings, and then hopefully, like I said, jump right back into E27. And then I'm also going to start the series to talk about how I got to New York and how this whole thing happened. So I'm going to start that today as well. And yeah, like I said, I'm feeling super peppy today. I am ready to get my day started. I hope you are having a great Thursday so far. And thanks again for coming along on this ride with me. It's really amazing to see people interested in my life and what I'm doing. So I will check back in later.